Oulton Park has become a firm favourite in the eyes of the iRacing populace, even more so after being added to the list of iRacing's free tracks. Many drivers have since enjoyed its mix of its old school feeling combined with a more modern twist, which still very much allows for overtaking. This 4.33 kilometre circuit comprises of 17 corners, which turn one I think will be a particular hotspot for action today, not only for overtaking, but also because the drivers will have to be so careful to avoid that dreaded 1x on the exit, of course, of turn one. Just to add a little bit more spice into the mix of this race, the top two have been separated, or were separated, I should say, by 0.04 of a second in the final practice session earlier on this week. I tell you what, we're only moments away from round 5 of the SRL GT4 Championship. My name is Seb Bosher-Williams. I'll be in the commentary booth today, and It seems almost incredible to be saying this. We're already in the penultimate round of the championship. One more round, of course, to go after tonight. That will take place at Fuji. But that means this qualifying session becomes ever more crucial. And the question I pose is, who will be able to stand up to that pressure, to conquer the challenge, and who will be maybe left reeling at the end of today's qualifying session? But with practice done and dusted, we firmly have qualifying underway. It's a good start for everybody out on your screen at the moment as they head through Druid's corner. So on board at the moment we have Anthony Mayat, nobody I should say, has set a lap time at the moment. That will only really happen as we get further on into the session. 1 minute and 55 seconds gone from the session so far. See Rodenberg there setting some purple sectors, but Dan Mould is having an absolutely storming outlap, although that won't really amount to much as we get underway. We ride on board with the Mercedes GT4 heading down turns 2 and 3 before the braking zone. Has to get the nose tightly turned in, which he successfully does. And then down this long run, down the lakeside straight towards turn 4, Island Bend. Brake just put after the curve, throw the nose in, hope that you've got a little bit of grip. You hear the dirt being kicked up underneath the car. And then you're straight into Shell Oil's corner, turn 5. Hit the throttle, run out a little bit wide towards this very pesky, tricky chicane. You're going to be on the brakes late as you can. Try and not hit the inside tyre wall. Arrest all of your speed before the second part of the chicane. Get on the throttle as early as you dare. Now down the back straight, hilltop corners towards turn 10. Foster's corner, another quick chicane. Don't hit the tyre wall. We saw drivers in the TCR series a few weeks ago do exactly that, and it ended very bad for them. Knickerbrook corner comes up very quickly next. Up towards turn 13, Clay Hill. Water Tower, turn 14, a fairly inconsequential corner, but it prepares you for turn 15. Druid's corner, you're going to hit the apex, get the nose neatly tucked in. Mould setting some wonderful fastest laps so far. Mayat not doing too badly himself as we now head to the braking zone of turn 16, Lodge corner. This is not the final corner. It might deceive you by thinking it is. Mayat gets a little bit adrift on the exit. This is the final corner, turn 17, Deer Leap corner is going to cross the line. Where does that put Mayat? Rogenberg heads to the top of the timing stand, but not to be outdone. Mould goes to the top, a 1 minute 40.000. Mayat must have gotten an off track on the opening lap as we see Mould, our provisional pole sitter. Alan McCain, what can he do? Just coming through the chicane at the moment. Garrity 4th, Smith 5th, Brown was in 6th, is in 7th, with John Brown heading up to 4th place overall. Crowther pops himself up into 4th. I was just about to say that I think he might have gotten an off track, but no, it's a little bit of a late arrival on the timing screens. Cugley up into 8th place. Another McLaren driver doing very, very well. Could you call it the McLaren's home race, Oulton Park? It's a British company. I mean, born in New Zealand, of course, at the very origins of McLaren. But you see on your screen at the moment, Mould, McLaren, Rogenberg, Aston Martin, Patton, Porsche 1, 2 and 3. I tell you what though, which is surprising me, is we don't see a very familiar name towards the top of the timing stands. And that is Arthur Thurtle in 10th place. I think he's had a little bit of a slow first lap. It's only put him 10th place. So what can he do on this lap? I wonder, just heading down the back straight towards the Hillslop chicane, the Foster chicane, the Hillslop chicane. Doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you manage to nail it. Rogenberg improves on his next lap, but does not go quicker than Mould. Mould, 800th of a second, I should say, slower than his previous best. Mark Brown setting some fast sector times through sector 3. What can he do as he rounds Deer Leap corner, the final corner on this track? He's going to cross the line. Can Brown improve? Yes, he can, up into 3rd place, although still some 7 tenths off your provisional pole sitter of Dan Mould. I was talking to Dan earlier on, just before the racing got underway, and he was saying he loves this track, and you know, he just really wanted to do well here today, and it's clearly proving that the practice is all paying off. But Arthur Thurtle, there you go, a little bit more of an improvement for him, heads up into third place, still some almost 5/10 off Mould. Very unusual to see Thurtle struggling. We ride on board as he heads through Cascades turn 3. What can he do? This is his final attempt, his last ditch effort to challenge Mould for the lead of the race, really, as we head into turn 1. It's really crucial to get as high up off the grid as you can. McCain, fastest sector in the third, or second to last sector, I should say. Get my words mixed up. Very frantic qualifying session here on your screens at the moment. Can McCain improve? Can he set a lap time? Yes, he can. Into 5th place. McCain, superb qualifying by him. He's still got one more lap. Still can improve if he's feeling like it. Roggenberg, what can he do? Can he challenge Mould for the pole position, or will Mould be able to reign supreme? Mould has not improved, 0.03 of a second slower than his best effort. Can Roggenberg improve? No, he can, but Patton up into 2nd place. Ryan Patton, superb effort in that little plucky Porsche. It's just so small compared to the other GT4 cars. Great job, I think you have to say, by him. As he heads through Cascades, his qualifying session is done and dusted. What can Arthur Thurtle do? What can he try to muster out of that Aston Martin as he comes through the final 2 corners? He's only got here a Deer Leap corner and him between himself and pole position, and he goes to the top of the timing stands. Thurtle with a very late dash to the pole position. Arthur Thurtle take a bow. That didn't look like he had that in control. I wonder, was he just goading everybody into a false sense of security? But Thurtle, blistering lap at the dying moments of qualifying. So Mould and Thurtle separated by less than 0.04 of a second. Stephenson out on the track at the moment. What can he do? I wonder. There was an improvement there. I think that was for Walters. It's right on board with the McLaren as we head through Druids Corner, turn 15. So, as I said, Water Tower, turn 14, you don't really notice it as a corner because you're just focusing on making it through the admittedly 2 corners of turn 15. It's classed as one on the official track map, but you almost treat it as 2 corners. Then into Lodge. Really tricky as the track rises and then quickly falls away from you. Where can Stephenson put himself, I wonder? Or Stevenson, I should say. I will get that name right. I really do apologise to Stevenson. The problem is I race with somebody called Steph. Anyway, I digress. Stephenson up into 13th place. Great job by him. Anthony Mayat still hasn't improved, and actually is not out on the track from what I can see. Well, he is out on track, but not necessarily going as quick as he'd like. What can Gary Linton do, I wonder? The final driver, apart from Mayat, to not set a qualifying time. Where does Linton put himself? Up into 18th place, so a good improvement there. Tell you what, Johnston is a little bit off the pace. 1 minute 52.4 compared to Thurtle's 1 minute 39.9. So I just hazard a guess. As Johnson had a little bit of a tricky qualifying session. He has completed all 3 laps. Wareham also making his way around the circuit, but once again, this will not count for anything. It's just almost for brownie points. There's nothing more really that can be gained from going out on the track. We have 3 laps in qualifying, very similar to the iRacing official sessions, but we just get 1 extra lap. But as the grid will start to form, we can take you through your opening grid for today. And Arthur Thurtle, with that amazing final lap, pops himself up into the prime spot for race number 1 today. Mould will start alongside him. In 2nd place, the 3rd row is Ryan Patton and Eric Roggenbuck. The 3rd row, Derek Crowther and Alan McCain, in all English, and all Great Britain, United Kingdom, I should say. It's all very difficult with all the many different countries within the UK. But Mark Brown in 7th place, Craig Walters in 8th, Derek Wareham 9th, Fraser Geraghty rounds out your top 10. John Brown starts just outside the top 10 in 11th, with Ryan Dudley alongside him in 12th. Neil Stevenson in 13th place, Paul Cugley alongside him in 14th, Al Brown 15th, Daniel Lewis in 16th place, Stuart Gibbons 17th, Gary Linton in 18th, David Smith 19th, John Johnston in 20th place, and Anthony Meyer, the only driver to not set a qualifying lap. And what an amazing race we have in store for you today. I cannot wait to get this race underway. And what do we think we are going to see for the opening lap, I wonder? As we look, as Daniel Wareham in the back of the field, just see how many cars he has in front of him. And it's so difficult to judge when the leaders are going, when you're so far back in the pack. And if you misjudge it, as everybody seems to be flashing their lights, although I don't think anybody's necessarily given the memo to mould in second. It's almost like they're getting paid per light flash. Dan Mould, I think, will be missing out on his bonus, but we get ready to go racing for the first round here. Well, first race in round 5. Thurtle goes late. That's going to open him up to Patton. They're going to go 5 wide. Mould takes the lead as they head into turn 1. Patton on the inside of Thurtle. They're going to go 2 wide. Thurtle survives the attack. Roggenberg in the background, falling down the order. I think Crowther and himself have made contact. We ride or look at Thurtle as we head down towards Cascades. Turn 3, everybody making their way through. A little bit wide there from the top 2. Lights flashing. Is Thurtle trying to goad Mould into a mistake, or does Thurtle feel like Mould jumped the start? I wonder. Through turn 4 we go. All looking fairly even in the background, though. We have side-by-side action between Crowther and Brown. Brown trying to go the outside, around the outside through Shell Oil's corner, but that's not going to come to anything. In fact, Brown and McCain now trying to go side by side themselves. Brown will just about survive that attack, and Brown will stay in 6th place. Up towards the front of your pack, though, Dan Mould still under pressure from Arthur Thurtle in 2nd. Patton coming under pressure from Roggenbuck in 4th place. Crowther 5th, Brown 6th, McCain in 7th, but McCain is heading off the track. I think he's cut the corner. Yes, he has. McCain's going to be falling down the order. That's not how you want to take the opening chicane on the first lap. McCain still falling down the order. He's going to be losing more and more places by the second. Cugley finding his way past Alan McCain, and it's all gone wrong really for the 212 Mercedes. Got to slow down to clear, and that's exactly how you don't want to start your opening race here today. Mould, though, in the race lead. Thurtle right behind him in 2nd, who will be wanting to make a little bit of a challenge. Does Thurtle want to be aggressive? Does Thurtle want to play the short game, as it were? Does Mould think about the championship? Does Thurtle think about the championship? Really, really interesting dynamics at play here today as we ride down the hill once again towards Cascades Corner. Turn 3. Who will be making their way past? Will we see any moves as we head up towards turn number 4? Battle for the lead, I should say, still very much the same, but further down the order, drama aplenty. Stevenson coming under pressure from Brown. Brown coming under pressure from Gibbons. All very, very tight at the moment. You see who has made the greatest moves on the opening lap. It's a tie between Smith and Gibbons, up 3 places respectively, and it's McCain who's lost a lot, down 12 places. As we have a look at the gaps between the 2 drivers. So, what does Stefansson do? He's starting to fall away from Cugley in 11th, you have to say. That's 6 McLaren just starting to find his way out of that crucial 2nd gap. And Brown now starting to pressurise Stevenson as they head through Druid's corner. the battle for your lead. That started to die down just a tad. Mold starting to find the pace, really utilising that McLaren to its full advantage as he heads through turn 1. Thurtle very much trying to track extend as much as he can. I don't think he'll get an off track, but Thurtle certainly playing with the track limits more than Dan Mold is at this phase of the race. Of course, the 20-minute race here today will invert the top 15 and do it all over again. So it's not all over for Arthur Thurtle at the moment. It's good championship points, but I just have to question whether he wants to stay or whether he wants to make the move up towards Walters and Brown heading side by side as they break into Shell. Oh, it's got a little bit of contact there between Wareham and Brown. I do apologise. So Daniel Wareham being overtaken by Brown. Brown falling back as they head up towards the chicane. Who will brake late? We ride on board with Brown, almost touches the inside tyre wall, gets away with it as they head down the back straight. Walters though in quick succession, that McLaren power unit sings. He's going to brake a little bit late, try the inside line, can't find a way through. We'll have to settle for just staying behind Brown, and that's allowing the other Brown, the 26 of John Brown, to get involved in on the action as well. Thurtle is starting to catch Dan Mold. I said I don't think Thurtle will be too happy about just sort of staying in second place and letting the race really sort of go away from him and just take the points. Thurtle wants this win. These two have been battling it out in all of the practice sessions so far this week. Thurtle, new fastest lap of the race, almost 0.3 of a second quicker than Mold up ahead of him. The battle for third as well between Patton, Roggenbuck and Crowther, that started to heat up as well. 3 drivers vying for the final place on the podium. Don't count out Wareham as well, and if Wareham catches up to the top, to this pack of 3, you've got Brown, Walters, the other Brown, and Geraghty as well, all in quick succession. So really, really close racing out there on the circuit at the moment. Further down the order, this is a battle for 15th place. It's between Daniel Lewis, Linton, which is Gary Linton, and Alan McCain. McCain really trying to find his way back up the pace. Can he look around the outside of Charlotte Oil's corner? No, just has to concede that place for now. What could he do on the run out? He was a little bit compromised there by having a look at the first part of turn 5. That's going to compromise him really through the chicane. Off the track goes Lewis. That's going to be a little bit of a scary rejoin if you are the cars behind. He gets away with it and Lewis falls down the order. Another car goes past him. That's Anthony Myatt. Myatt on his recovery drive now finds himself up 4 places from where he started, and Daniel Lewis I think might be making a little bit of a face like he's looking in his SDK driver profile. I think he might be a little bit scared after going off the track. Smith in the background there finds his way on the grass through Knickerbrook Corner. Not the first one to do that. I think certainly won't be the last today. Linton is falling down the order. Linton spins around. Huge drama there for Gary Linton. He'll be able to rejoin the circuit if he can just. I think he's going to have to find reverse. Johnston is still out on the circuit. There he is, in fact, heading past. So Linton falling all the way down the order. Roggenbuck tries the outside line through Cascades Corner, can't find a way through, managed briefly to get past Patton, but Patton up into 3rd place. What can Roggenbuck do? In fact, what can this man do? Derek Crowther as they head through turn 4, Island Bend onto the brakes. Everything looks on as even once again, but Crowther looking ahead at this battle. Roggenberg managed to get past Patton, albeit for a very brief amount of time through the chicane. Look how much extra pace Eric has over Patton. Patton off the track. Patton's gone wide. Will he be able to keep it out of the barriers? Yes, he will. Superb car control there by the 88 Porsche, but that has left him compromised, and that has left him reeling down into 5th place. Roggenberg up into 3rd, Crowther in 4th, and Ryan Patton certainly has it all to do if he wants to retake his podium place. Brown very much leads a little bit of a train at the moment. The other Brown, I should say the other Brown, we have 3 Browns. Al Brown, what has happened to him? He's firmly off the circuit, and there you see him actually returns to the pits. So this is Gary Linton. So this was the spin that we saw from him earlier on. So he's understeered a little bit too wide, got onto the grass, and then the cars just ended up spinning around. Not really much he could do about that. And this is Al Brown's accident, the number 23. Oh, he's just lost the rear. Quite strange, in fact, to have it to lose the rear at that phase of the track. But Al Brown, I think, might be our first retiree of today's festivities, unless he wants to get back out and into the action. Daniel Lewis and Dudley also close together. They're going to go side by side, heading down towards the left-hander of turn 3. Lewis tries to go all the way around the outside. Sorry, Dudley tries to make his way all the way around the outside. Lewis almost understeers into him. Lewis loses a place. Dudley up into 16th place. They might, in fact, make it another place as Paul Cugley is off the track. Cugley's managed to get going, but look behind you. You're going to have 2 cars very much come up very quickly behind Cugley, but Dudley does not manage to capitalise on Paul Cugley's mistake. And let's see exactly what that mistake was between. That was the overtake we saw there, and this is Paul Cugley. So he's trying to go around the outside of Island Bend. You can do it, it's a legitimate move. Oh, it's going to be a huge spear into the wall. And McLaren was ever so lucky to end up not being involved in that accident as well. Al Brown, in fact, has left the pit, so he reverses the curse of having a retiree, so he's not going to be the first retiree of today's race. Just have a little bit of a calm down, I think, in the commentary box. 10 minutes gone of this race so far, just under 10 to go, and it's very much this man, Dan Mould, who is commanding the race, but Thurtle not really allowing him to get away with that too easily. Thurtle closing in once again on that last lap. That gap is now down to 0.2 of a second, or almost timing is irrelevant. It's all about the car length or the half car lengths, I think, at some phases of the track for these two. Who will be able to come out on top? They've been so similar in practice and in qualifying. It's a real battle, I think, of wits and of intelligence, I think, for first and second place. Then we've got Rogenberg in third. Quick little disconnect there for Rogenberg, but he manages to stay on the circuit. He's now starting to pull out a little bit of a gap to this man right here, Derek Crowther. He's in fourth place as he heads through Knickerbrook Corner. So Rogenberg looking good for that third place. Just gets past a little bit of lapped traffic there. I do believe that's Al Brown just making his way out. His way out of the way. Yes, it was indeed. Then Ryan Patton in fifth, was once third in this race. In fact, started third, but after that mistake he saw entering the back straight, he finds himself in fifth place with Daniel Wareham behind him in sixth place. The proverbial cork in the bottle. He's got Mark Brown very close for company, Craig Walters and John Brown as well, and Fraser Geraghty not too far away. And then we've got Stevenson in 11th place with Gibbons right behind him. And that's McCain. They're going to go side by side, entering turn 1. Gibbons defends to the inside, but I think he might run a little bit wide. He's certainly going to be off the track. That might give... Sorry, that's Gibbons trying to get past McCain. I do apologise. We're getting all out of sorts here in the comms booth. So Gibbons in 13th place with Mayat in 14th. Just a little bit of a lonely race. He's up 7 places from where he started, and then Ryan Dudley has had an unlucky race. He's down 3 places from where he started, but he will currently get the coveted reverse grid pole for race number 2 as he heads around Island Bend. But this battle for the lead is very much not gone away while we were having a very quick look at the action further down the field as we head through Druids Corner. What can Thurtle do? Where does he want to make the move? Does he want to make the move, in fact? The same could be said for the battles further down the field. McCain and Stevenson. So McCain's seen off the challenge from Gibbons, and now McCain trying to find his way back up into the top 10, or at least the top 11. Has a better run through Druids down to the braking zone of Lodge Corner. Again, just Stevenson getting a little bit of understeer in that McLaren car. That's not going to help him when it comes to defending from Alan McCain. McCain's been super quick, you have to say, so far this race, and especially in qualifying. 8th place, John Brown manages to get past Craig Walters up ahead, and Walters falling down the field. I think Walters might have had a little bit of an issue there. He is getting up to speed, but I hazard to guess that Walters has ended up falling a little bit foul of the track at certain places. McCain can't find his way past Stevenson as they head through turns 4, braking for turn 5. What can McCain do? Can he make the move as he exits out of almost a slingshot of turn 5 into the braking zone of turns 6, 7 and 8, the Britain's chicane? Thurtle, though, finds his way past Dan Mould for the race lead, and that's in an unconventional spot. That's out of Knickerbrook. That is a very, very unconventional spot to make the move. And this is how it happened. Oh, Mould's gone wide. So I said Knickerbrook was going to claim another casualty. Didn't realise it would be your former race leader, Dan Mould. But Thurtle inherits that race lead. 5 minutes left to go in this race. Who will be the race winner? That was a little bit of a flash of the lights there for McCain, trying to find his way past Stevenson. Linton, I think, is fallen off the track again, but managed to find his way back onto the tarmac. McCain through turn 14. Up the hill. Can he make the move on the power? It's very much McLaren power versus Mercedes. McCain pulls a little bit out to the inside, thinks better of it, can't find a way through. But can he get the better exit? Oh, once again, you just see Stevenson going, oh, so wide, so much understeer in that McLaren. McCain tries to find his way around the outside. That, though, will give him a nice slingshot. He'll be able to arrive at the next corner a little bit quicker. Does McCain feel brave? Does he think about heading down the inside into turn 4? No, just backs out of it. But Stevenson just a little bit more wary into turn 4. Braking zone for turn 5. Look at this, Gibbons arriving on the scene at a fairly great rate of knots. Not quite sure if that was the best braking I've seen into turn 5, or if Gibbons was just a little bit out of control. But anyway, it looks fairly good from the other McLaren driver, Myatt, as well, getting involved in on this battle. They're going to go side by side. I think in the background there, Myatt had such a better run out of the final part of the Britain chicane. They're all line astern though as they enter the next chicane, turns 10 through 12. Knickerbrook corner comes up very, very fast. Are we going to see any drivers make a mistake like, unfortunately, Dan Mould did a few laps ago? Not at this phase. Stevenson still leads this pack, but he only had one really hungry Mercedes behind him, but you can add another McLaren and another Mercedes to that list. Stevenson's race has got a whole lot harder. Myatt kicks up a little bit of grass on the exit of Druids corner. That's not going to help his tyre wear whatsoever. This is a great run out though for McCain as they head up the hill once again through turn 17. Deer Leap corner. Stevenson looks to defend to the inside. McCain is forced just to back out of it, but once again Stevenson just runs a little bit wide into turn 1. That allows McCain to get involved in on the action. Myatt, though, making his way past Gibbons, and did Gibbons end up going off the track? I wonder. Let's see if we can very quickly see what happened to Stuart Gibbons. Yes, he did. He's run also wide, in fact, through turn 1. Might have just been a slowdown for him. So Myatt finds himself up into 13th place, Gibbons in 14th, Crowther making his way past Rogenberg. What has happened to Eric Rogenberg, I wonder, because he was in a commanding 3rd place, but Rogenberg off the track. Is that damage to his car? I wonder. He's stationary. He's out of this race. Huge drama there for Rogenberg. We'll have to try and see what went on with him. I'm not quite sure, so we'll have to stand by, I do believe, on that one. Brown now up into 6th place, winning the battle of the Browns. Mark Brown ahead of both John Brown and Al Brown. Garrity side by side though with Walters, and Walters falling through, or falling down the order. There he is, in fact, Walters. So Walters has collided with the wall. Craig Walters, and another driver to have an issue. Let's see if we can see what's gone on. He's got a little bit caught out there by one of the Mercedes entries, and he's just going to fall off the track and not manage to get the car slowed down before he's impacted with the tyre barrier. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be a fairly long final lap. White flag, though, flies. So 1 lap to go in this race. This is your battle for the lead between Thurtle and Mould. Haven't really seen them too much in the last few laps, just due to all the action that's taking place elsewhere on the track. But Thurtle is still leading from Mould. Crowther in 3rd, Patton 4th, Wareham 5th. And then it's all about that battle for 7th place between John Brown and Fraser Garrity. What can John do? He heads through the brilliant chicane very quickly. You just see he's got so much command over the front end of his car, very much in direct contrast, you have to say, to Stevenson 1 place behind him. Can he make the move? No, he can't, through into the turn 10 chicane. Knickerbrook corner, that might provide a little bit of a jeopardy for Garrity. In fact, it's Brown that ends up struggling. What's happened to Mould? Mould's off at the final corner. Dan Mould, it all falls away from Dan Mould, but it's all about this man. It's Arthur Thurtle. He'll come across the line to take the win. Congratulations to Arthur Thurtle. It'll be Crowther in 2nd place. I'm sorry, we had to cut away from Dan Mould in 3rd. He's going to lose 3rd as well. Patton on the extremities of the racetrack to get past Dan Mould. Mould will have to finish in 4th. Flash of the lights there from Wareham in 5th place. Then it will be Garrity ahead of Brown, Stevenson in 9th, McCain in 10th, Myatt in 11th. But what has happened to that man on your track? On your screen, I should say. Because that is very much unlike Dan Mould. Don't tend to see him making too much of a mistake, but nothing's coming up on my timing software. See Stuart Gibbons, he'll come across the line in 15th place. Smith is off the track. David Smith, another driver who has unfortunately had a mare of finishing. So Smith will rejoin the racetrack and come across the line in 17th place. Linton in 18th, another driver very much utilising the flasher utility of their headlights. Smith 17th. Linton 18th in Rogenberg, and Johnson having a little bit of a set 2. Big crash at turn 17, the final corner. And I don't think I've ever seen such a crazy finish to a race. And in fact, there's Rogenberg still. Oh, so they've already tapped. So this is a replay, I should explain. Oh, so they've had contact heading on the exit of turn 16 up towards turn 17. And they've ended up just coming together. John Johnson forced a little bit wide. And Rogenberg's race goes from, frankly, from plain to just old worse. And he will be looking forward, I think, to getting back out in race number 2. But let's bring you your results from race 1. Confirmation that Arthur Thurtle was your race winner. Next up, Derek Crowther will take 2nd place. Great race by him. it all sort of came to him, but Crowther, didn't put a foot wrong where others did, and he's been rewarded with a great second place for him. Ryan Patton will round out your podium places, and then Dan Mould, the driver who started in second, finishes in fourth, with Daniel Wareham very close for comfort behind him in fifth. Mark Brown in sixth, Fraser Geraghty in seventh, John Brown in eighth, Neil Stevenson in ninth, Alan McCain rounds out your top 10. Anthony Meyer at 11th, Craig Walters 12th, Ryan Dudley 13th, Stuart Gibbons 14th, with Paul Cugley alongside him in 15th place. David Smith 16th, Gary Linton 17th, John Johnson comes across the line in 18th place, Daniel Lewis 19th, the first driver to be a lap down. Froggenberg and Al Brown also 1 lap down. But what a crazy opening race here at Oulton Park. And if you like the idea of doing it all again, then, well, do I have some good news for you? That's exactly what we're going to be doing in a few moments' time. We have a warm-up session, a 5-minute or so warm-up session. And I'll tell you what, a few rounds ago, we had a little bit of a feature where we ended up getting in some of the drivers from the race into the commentary booth, and I wonder if we can just have a go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very, very, very mean. I'm going to drag Dan Mould into the broadcast booth, because I'd quite like to know what ended up happening at that final corner. Dan, welcome to the commentary booth. Not the race that you would have expected there.
No. Not very happy with that. Thought I had it, and then I went a little bit wide. Didn't really need to, because he was just sitting behind me. I wasn't really under any pressure. And then I just had absolutely no grip, no front end grip when I was behind him. And there was 2 sections in the track where I thought I could gain on him, and one was the first chicane, and the second was the second chicane, but I just took it a little bit too tight and nipped the tyre barrier, and I was just thankful I could get it round to the start finish line without causing anybody any incidents and finish in a decent position.
That would explain it, because it didn't come up on my timing software, so I'm not quite, I wasn't quite sure what happened to you, so that explains a lot. So what's your mindset for race 2? Just go for it and just see if you can get the win?
Yeah, I want to just try and, I'm not sure where I'm going to be starting now. Maybe, is it 13th, 12th maybe? I'm just going to try and get up there as quick as I can. I'll have Arthur behind me, so try and leapfrog as many as I can to try and keep him back there, but it's going to be tough, especially on this track, as I don't know what happened back at the pack, but there wasn't much overtaking from what I could see in the mirror, and obviously, especially in these cars around here, it's like I say, it's the TCR is a little bit more compact and you can get side by side, but you can't do it in these, so it's going to be tough. It really is. Even with like maybe half a second advantage, it's still going to be tough to get around people.
I think from what we saw in the lower echelons of the grid in the first race, I think you're right. I think it's going to be difficult, but we did see overtaking, so we wish you the best of luck, Dan, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in about 20 or so minutes' time.
Cheers, Seb.
Good luck. That was Dan Mould, who had a little bit of a mare of the race 1, I think, but we'll be hoping to bounce back a little bit stronger for race 2. But I tell you what, very, very quickly, if you are interested in getting involved in the TCR League that, Dan was mentioning being a little bit easier to overtake, then you can head to the YouTube description where you can find a link to the SRL Discord channel where you can join the SRL Discord, get signed up. It's a £10 entry fee. I do believe there are still 1 or 2 spots remaining, and if you're watching this on the VOD in the next few days it's all full up, then you just have to be with me and watch it in the commentary booth. But great action we had. The race at Donington National, the the media day last. I get my words mixed up. We had the media day last week and it was superb racing. So do join if you are interested in having a little bit of TCR fun. But heading back to the GT4s, Paul Cugley will be your your reverse grid pole sitter with Stuart Gibbons alongside him in second place. Ryan Dudley third. Craig Walters in fourth, Anthony Myatt fifth, McCain in sixth place, Stevenson seventh, John Brown in eighth, Fraser Geraghty in ninth. Buck Brown rounds out your top 10. Wareham will start in 11th place with Dan Mould in 12th. 13th, Ryan Patton. 14th, Crowther. 15th, your race 1 winner, Arthur Thurtle. Smith in 16th place. Gary Linton, 17th. John Johnston in 18th place. Daniel Lewis, 19th, with Roggenberg in 20th place. And Al Brown rounds out your 21-car grid for race number 2 here at Oulton Park. Drivers flashing their lights once again. They want to get this race underway, to be honest, as do we all. So we saw a fairly early start from Thurtle. That gave the advantage to Mould in our first race start of the day. What will Cugley do? He wouldn't really have had chance to see the starting strategy of Thurtle to know that whatever he did was not as successful as I think he would have liked. So it's all eyes on the number 6 car. That is the benchmark. He is almost the effective safety car. As soon as the pace car pulls in, he decides when he wants to get this race underway. Waits a little bit longer, the lights come on and we get ready to go racing for the second time at Oulton Park. Cugley with a great start. They're almost 3 wide in the background as we stamp on the brakes for the first time. They're going side by side, but round the outside goes Stuart Gibbons. A superb amount of grip that he found, patted off in the background there. We see the double eight of the Porsche falling down the order. Derek Crowther involved in that as well. Brown trying to find his way past the 26, making his way through as they head up now towards turn 4. Brown in 7th place, gets past Stevenson. So Brown making the moves, but this man is as well. Gibbons, superb first lap, you have to say, by him. Superb first corner. Thurtle making his way past. Thurtle involved in an accident. No, he's not. Just manages to avoid. Who was that? That was Mould, I think, who maybe was involved. Yes, it was. You see Dan Mould riding on board. That steering looks just about straight enough, but that would not be what Dan Mould would be hoping for. Gibbons heads into the braking zone, almost got a 1.5 second gap between himself and Cugley. 1.1 or so the gap between your first and second place. Cugley in second, now coming under pressure from Dudley. Dudley as well being pressurised by Walters. Walters, Myatt, McCain, and Brown, Stevenson. It's all heading off as Cugley has to defend to the inside. Has he seen the diving, the darting Mercedes GT4? Yes, he did. Thought we were about to witness a fairly huge accident. The lights flashing there from Dudley. Dudley trying to recover his race. Is braking now into the penultimate corner. Gibbons is running away with this, the 47. Almost, he's got 47 kilometres between himself and Cugley in second. Cugley more often now coming under pressure from Dudley through turn 1. Once again, Cugley just not having the pace. That's where Gibbons managed to find his way past the McLaren driver. On this occasion, Dudley was unable to repeat Gibbons's escapades through turn 1, but on the run down to turn 4, there's all eyes. In fact, not on this battle for second, but Dudley and Walters. Walters closing in at a great rate of knots. Walters has to back out of the throttle a little bit, and that allows Myatt to arrive on the scene. It's very much a cork in the bottle scenario between the top 2. As you see now, once again, Cugley getting a little bit of a slow run out of the corner as they head into the braking zone. Oh, and there's been a rear-ended accident, and that's huge as everybody has to come to a fairly catastrophically slow hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 or 8 cars involved. Dudley falls down the order. They're still all scrapping for position. Dudley was rear-ended there by one of the drivers. Oh, and as he rejoins the 27, Daniel Lewis heads off the track, and that accident just kept on giving. And let's ride on board. So this is from Daniel Wareham's perspective, and he just sees this massive cloud of smoke up ahead of him. He does very well, just about, to avoid everybody around him. So that started just a little bit earlier on, didn't it? In fact, this was the preceding incident. So Dudley in the middle. So Dudley looks to go to the inside, and then, well, it all just unfolds behind him as we see cars just get locked on each other. Arthur Thurtle arrives at the scene, has to basically do an emergency stop, and then the 27 of Lewis. Oh, it was another car. So this is Lewis. We saw that incident right at the end. Oh, he just runs wide by himself, ends up across the grass and out. Dudley has come into the pits. I just want to take you back as well to the first lap. So this is the opening lap heading down into turn 4. This is Mould. He's gotten on the grass, hasn't he? And that's just sort of allowed the car to understeer. Made contact with the 5. That's Fraser Geraghty in the Mercedes-Benz entry. Heartbreak, really, for him. Whatever the opposite of heartbreak, though, I think has to go. Or at least Stuart Gibbons at the moment. That's exactly what he's feeling from the cockpit of his car. Apparently 4.3 seconds separates himself and Cugley in second, and Cugley really one of the beneficiaries out of all of that carnage behind him. That's given him a 4.3 second gap to Myatt behind. So Anthony Myatt, after having a fairly difficult qualifying session, is looking to get a 3rd place in the feature race out of this today. Johnston and Lewis having a little bit of a battle in the background. Lewis, after making contact with the wall on a recovery drive. Brown getting ever so close, or being chased by Mould. Mould looks right, can't find a way through, decides to go left into the braking zone, has to go the long way around the outside of turn 16, can't find a way through. Brown's off the track. Mark Brown is spinning backwards there. Another driver to end up off the track. Linton getting close to Brown as well. Patton getting close for good measure. It's all happening in the mid pack of our racing pack today. Mould trying to go around the outside of turn 3. That will become the inside as he head up towards Island Bend. Mould being brave, being bold, trying to make the move. As they're going to go side by side, McLaren versus McLaren. Mould's already understeered into one car. It's not gone the way that he would have wanted, but Thurtle involved in an incident as well. This is very crucial for Mould to get past John Brown, to make his way up into 8th place, to start chasing his main rival Thurtle down. But Mould still unable to make the move, but gets a better run out of the Britain's chicane as they head towards the braking zone of turn 10. Mould has to be bold, he has to be brave. He tried it at Island Bend, can't find a way through. Brown once again breaks late, tries to go down the inside of Knickerbrook corner, can't find a way through. Contact's made. That's going to give Brown a great incentive to find his way past Mould as they head up the hill. Brown tries to go around the outside, he can't find a way through. Mould is having to go from offensive manoeuvre to defensive in the space of about 3 seconds. And then we've got Linton and Patton arriving on the scene as well. Patton trying to find his way through after a disappointing opening race for the American driver. He now tries the outside line through turn 16. He can't find a way through. Myatt in all of this sets the fastest lap of the race by quite a substantial margin, always 2 seconds quicker than Cugley on that previous lap. That's a late move up ahead between Mould and Brown. Mould manages to survive. Mould, in fact, just has to ignore Al Brown sending it to the inside of turn 3, but that's compromised him ever so slightly and allowed John Brown just to escape up the field. And Dan Mould now, all while this is happening, his chances of not only winning this race or even getting on the podium, but beating Arthur Thurtle fall away fairly quickly. McCain, oh, big accident there, McCain and Linton. And McCain heavily into the wall. We see Linton limping around in the background. And we just caught the end of that incident, but huge incident. Linton's gone wide, tagged McCain, an innocent party in the accident. Oh, and another car. I think that's that might be one of who's that? Garrity. Was Fraser Garrity arriving on the scene and making a little bit of contact with Linton's car. Manages to mostly get away with it. Mould under pressure. Brown finds his way past Mould. So while we're looking at the replay, Mould losing another spot. Don't tend to see Mould give up places too easily. Finds his way past Brown. They're side by side into turn 16. He's going to have to start pushing Mould out wide. And Mould up into 8th place. Of course, Brown, he was trying to overtake. I'm getting confused between the two Browns. Very confusing when they both have the same last name. So this is Mould and Brown. They've been at each other for the last few laps. Mould still unable to get through. They're side by side through turn 1. Brown will have the inside line through turn 3. Mould might just have to back out of this move, concede it's over, get the switch back and try once again to go at the inside. Rogenberg gets past Stevenson in 4th, so Rogenberg making his way back through the field, but this battle for 8th place remains fairly strong. Mould once again unable to get past the 26 of Brown. He's trying to go this way, that way, every way, but Brown knows where to place his car, and Mould still remains in 9th place. Cugley, though, under pressure from Myatt. I said Myatt set the fastest lap of the race. Cugley slowing down, and Cugley almost concedes the place. Myatt manages just about to get the car slowed down at the apex, and Anthony Myatt, your new 2nd place driver in this race. And Rogenberg is not too far behind Cugley. Cugley could be going from 2nd place in this race to being outside the podium places in a fairly short order of time. In fact, Stevenson is not too far behind, and add Thurtle and Wareham into the mix as well. So Cugley, I think, is going to have to start looking in his side mirrors if he wants to hold on to a higher place up this grid. 10 minutes and 20 seconds gone in this race. Just under 10 to go. Cugley 3rd, Rogenberg in 4th, Stevenson in 5th. And who will be on the podium for today's proceedings, I wonder? Cugley heads down towards Cascades Corner. Still in 3rd place. Mould and Brown, that battle very much resuming between those two. Brown tries to dive late under brake and gets past Mould. Mould must be steaming inside that car at the moment. Brown sends to the inside, but Brown now has to concede as Mould has got the side-by-side line as they head into Island Bend. Almost contact between them, door banging going on in the GT4 class here today. Dan Mould's going to have to go all the way around the outside, but John Brown once again tries to send it to the inside, but Brown makes contact and he goes spinning off on the exit of turn 5, and John Brown's race ends up facing backwards while Mould, I think, got away without too much damage. He's in 8th place. 2 seconds separates himself and Stevenson. What can Dan Mould do? He's been released now from John Brown. And what can the second place qualifier in today's proceedings do? He's in 8th place at the moment. He's up 4 places from where he started. And where can he get to? Rogenberg up 16 and Thurtle up 10. So 2 drivers having an absolutely outstanding race. Rogenberg just capitalised, didn't he, on all of that carnage at the Bridden's chicane a few laps ago. Finds himself in 4th place, very, very close, in fact, to getting a 3rd, and almost feels like redemption after the difficulties that he had in the first race. Oh, as that's Cugley going very wide on the exit. Cugley just getting all out of shape as they head down towards Cascades Corner. Rogenberg finds his way through into 3rd place, and Cugley now looking at losing 4th as well. Thurtle gets the better run, but now it's a drag race between Aston Martin power and McLaren power. Thurtle sends it up the inside, and Thurtle makes his way into 4th place. Cugley, after making a mistake, loses not 1 but 2 places in a very short amount of time. As Linton's off the track, that's at turn 3 as well. Gary Linton not having the best of races. Talking of not having the best of races, Crowther, he's made contact there with another McLaren. I didn't quite catch who that was. I thought it was McCain, but it wasn't. And Crowther ends up facing backwards through Island Bend. And Linton, I think, again, has had a little bit of an issue heading on to the racing line. I think he's just gone a little bit wide and now finds himself behind John Brown, who's equally had a little bit of an issue in today's proceedings. Rogenberg in third. What can he do? Can he hold on to third place? Will it be a redemption story for him? Well, what stands in his way between a podium spot is, unfortunately for him, race 1 winner Arthur Thurtle. What can Thurtle do? Where can he place his car? We know that Thurtle is so good at applying pressure. Mould ended up succumbing to that very issue. Mould getting past Stevenson in the background, so Mould now up into 7th place. Next up on his list it will be Daniel Wareham in 6th. Mould on that last lap was roughly about the same pace, maybe half a second quicker than Wareham. He needs a little bit more pace than that if he wants to make too much of an impact into Wareham and Cugley up ahead. Although for him, if you are a Dan Mould fan, you'll be pleased to know that Cugley is ahead of Wareham, and Cugley unfortunately not finding the pace that others are finding out on the track. So Wareham, if he struggles to get by Paul Cugley, like Mould struggled to get past Dan Brown, then that might just bring Dan Mould back into the fold just a little bit. Or top 3 though. Interestingly enough, still McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin. In fact, the first repetition is an Aston Martin, although that's just switched as Thurtle finds his way past Rogenberg. Rogenberg is off the track and into the wall. Disaster for Eric Rogenberg. I thought he was gonna undo his curse of Oulton Park, but it's all fallen away for the American driver. And Rogenberg lets him through and ends up, has he hit the wall? Has he done what he did in race 1? I wonder. Let's have ride on board and see. He's got no steering. So I think he's knocked a wheel out of alignment through the chicane, and that sent Rogenberg very much into the wall and very much into the pit. So Thurtle now remains in 3rd place. Or inherits 3rd place, I should say. Cugley in 4th. But it's all about that battle between Cugley, Wareham and Mould. Mould trying to find his way past Wareham. Wareham doing the same to Cugley as they head on the exit. A little bit of contact there between your 3 in contention for 4th place. Mould has to back out. It's Wareham's chance to try and find his way past Cugley, which he does. Mould sends it to the inside. Cugley didn't see, and Cugley comes off a lot worse. It's spinning in the background. You see, comes to arrest the slide in the grass as now Geraghty finds his way through. Was that contact between himself and Geraghty? If it wasn't contact, it was so close. I could tell you that for free. Wareham a little bit off the track through turns 7 and 8. That's the Bridden chicane. Gets going once again. Wareham now starting to push. But I mean, poor Dan Mould, poor Paul Cugley as well. I think it's a little bit of a 50-50 split if you're asking my opinion on that incident. I think Mould stuck a nose where it maybe wasn't warranted, and Cugley just didn't see where Dan Mould was. But Mould's still on the back of Wareham, so it's gone from a 3-way fight for 4th place down to a 2-way fight. Cugley demoted down into 10th place, although Brown is a little bit far behind. That's Mark Brown in 11th, so Cugley might just hang on to a top 10 finish as they come through the final, or the penultimate corner, up now towards the final corner, D-Elite corner, turn number 17. Does Mould have a think about going down the inside into turn 1, or does he try to play to his strengths, get the move on the exit? Wareham, though, is wise to that move. Breaks a little bit early for turn 1, gets a slingshot through turns 2. Into turn 3 we head. Cascades, corner, Mould now on the power, runs so wide. He's now on the slipstream. He's gaining ever more on the Mercedes driver. Can't find his way through. Look at the dirt and the dust on the apex of turn 4. Mould just backing off through turn 5. Can he make the move on the exit? Is he going to try and go the long way around of the bridge and chicane? I think Mould thought about it, but that Mercedes has so much more sort of second phase getaway. What I mean by that is that it's not great on the first part of the traction phase, but the torque that Mercedes have is just incredible. Mould really now having to fight to push to find his way past Wareham for 4th place. He tries. It almost seemed like Wareham defended a little bit of fresh air, you have to say, into that chicane. Didn't cost him too much in the end. Johnston and Brown, they were side by side, they were battling into Island Bend, but Johnston has had a mega save onto the grass. I think a little bit of a round of applause goes to John Johnston for keeping that car very much, or almost, on the straight and narrow, very much avoiding any form of damage. So great job by him. Wareham still ahead of Mould. This is for 4th place. Thurtle some 7 seconds up the road. I think it's all but gone any chance of getting a podium place for Dan Mould. Gibbons starts his final lap of the race, though. Gibbons has had a superb race, a really dream outing here at Oulton Park, but who will be 4th place? Mould once again tries to find his way past Wareham through Cascades Corner. Wareham a little bit wide on the exit, a little bit squirrely. That might give Mould just enough of an overlap to make the move done. He's not going to catch him in time to make the move down the inside into Island Bend. So shallow his corner as well. Very much out of the picture if you are Dan Mould to make the move up into 4th place. But now we head into the crucial chicane. Who will get the better run? Who can keep their nerves? Who has nerves of steel, and who will falter under pressure? They both just about make their way through, but Wareham a little bit wide at the final part. This is going to allow Mould to get the best run out. Mould decides to go on the outside. Wareham hedges his bets, decides to go to the inside. They're side by side into the braking zone. Contact made between the two. Mould just about keeps a nose in it. He's now ahead as they head towards Knickerbrook Corner. Mould heads all the way around the outside, but gives Wareham just a little bit too much space. They're going to head up the hill towards Druids Corner, turn 14 on this racing track. Wareham on the inside, Mould on the outside. Contact made between those two. We quickly come across the line to see Stuart Gibbons take the race win. Congratulations, Stuart Gibbons. Mould though, and Wareham is off the track. We had to cut away to show Gibbons come across the line, but Wareham's falling down the order. Mould will take 4th, Stevenson up to 5th. But what happened to Daniel Wareham? And was it contact between himself and Dan Mould? I think it was. And that is how easily you can lose a race, especially after the incredible racing we saw. Let's have a look once again. So this is out of Knickerbrook Corner, turn number 12, up Clay Hill, 13. Then we're going to have Water Tower, turn 14. Let's just watch Daniel Wareham. So they make contact through turn 14. Into turn 15 we go. Wareham still just about holds it together. Oh, and Wareham loses it all by himself, so it wasn't contact with Mould. Mould very much exonerated from that angle. Wareham comes across the line in 10th place. Cugley then inherits 9th. Garrity in 8th. Then Al Brown 7th with Ryan Patton in 6th. Then outside the top 10 we have Linton Lewis Brown. Well, we have Mark Brown and then John Brown, John Johnston, Rogenberg and Alan McCain. At least they are your provisional results. Rogenberg and McCain still somewhere to be found out on the racetrack. In fact, there is Rogenberg just coming across the line, and Alan McCain, a driver with so much pace, so much promise in today's proceedings, but could not utilise that, could not find a way through, could not break the bad luck of Oulton Park. And I think McCain will be very much looking forward to getting on a 13-14 hour flight over to Fuji in 2 weeks time to hopefully have a little bit of a better season finale than Oulton Park. And he's taking the TCR layout that we debuted 2 or 3 weeks ago. And yeah, McCain he's not too pleased and took out a cone there for good measure. But we can bring you up your results. And it's Stuart Gibbons who wins the race Myatt manages to reduce the arrears in terms of your first and second place gap, but Gibbons reigns supreme with Myatt having to settle for second place. Thurtle is in third with Dan Mould in fourth, Neil Stevenson in fifth, Ryan Patton in sixth, Al Brown in seventh, Fraser Geraghty in eighth place, Paul Cugley ninth with Daniel Wareham rounding out your top 10. Lewis in 11th, Mark Brown in 12th. John Brown is in 13th with John Johnston in 14th place. Eric Rogenberg in 15th with Gary Linton in 16th place. Alan McCain in 17th place with David Smith in 18th. Then we have our retirees. Derek Crowther in 19th, Ryan Dudley in 20th, and Craig Walters 21st and last. And what a great set of races we have had today. Thoroughly enjoyed those. GT4 racing, it's always good, isn't it? It always provides. In fact, both of the SRL leagues always provide. We have, you know, the GT4s, the faster cars, the ones that you have to really think about overtakes, and then you have the balls-to-wall racing of TCRs. SRL always provides very, very amazing action. Running out of good synonyms, really, to describe the superb racing that we see in this racing league. So, as we normally do at this phase of the race, let's talk to our race winners. And I have for you Stuart Gibbons, Stuart, I should say, welcome to the commentary booth. That looked like a fairly dream race for you out there today.
It couldn't have gone any better, could it? Yeah, I mean, once I got round the first bend and got out into the lead, I mean, I was just lucky that somebody crashed and took everybody out for a while and gave me a head start, which meant that, of course, by the time I'd reached the finish line, I'd made enough time just to get there. I mean, Tony was, even with a damaged car, was catching me lap by lap, and I was just watching the clock coming down. I was just thinking, please just get home. But made it, first one.
I mean, congratulations. It looked really difficult out there to overtake. So, do you think that even if Anthony had managed to catch up, do you think you could have defended, or do you think that, you know, if Anthony had gotten close, that you think you would have lost the race win?
I think it depends how many more laps we had. If it had been one more lap, I mean, he'd have definitely caught me, but I think I would have been. Hope I would have been able to defend him off till the end, but you know, you never can tell. You never know what you're going to do. I mean, in the first race, I spun it on the last lap, and I'd been virtually clean all the way through. So, I mean, you never know.
If it makes you feel any better, a lot of people spun on the last lap of the first race. It was fairly frantic. It was one of the strangest ends to a race I think I've ever seen. We're just seeing it actually on the stream at the moment. Your great move through turn one at the start of race 2. Was that planned? Did you want to go around the outside, or were you just a little bit surprised that the car on the inside was going sort of slower than you expected?
I think I was just lucky that Paul was going slower than I anticipated, and then all of a sudden it was like the room opened and it was like foot down, go. And once I got by, it was just a question of how long he held people back for me to open up that distance, which, you know, really helped out in the early laps, because I'm not the quickest guy out there by far.
Well, you certainly look the class of the field in the second race. Congratulations, Stuart. Many congratulations for your race win. Before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to give a shout out to Dan and John, who put this together. Not only the GT4, but the touring cars as well. Made a cracking job, and you in watching over us, Seb, you know, thanks to you as well.
Oh, thank you very much. It's so much easier to be here than driving. I think I'd embarrass myself if I was in one of these cars. Well,
mate, we've all got to have a go, haven't we?
we certainly have. Well, thank you so much, Stuart, for coming to have a chat with us, and once again, congratulations on your race win.
No worries. Thank you very much.
And that was
For me.
Okay.
once again pressing the wrong buttons. I will get better at this. I do promise. That was very much Stuart Gibbons, the race winner from the second race, the feature race in today's proceedings. I thought we had Anthony Meyer here and ready for an interview, but I think he's had to disappear for a moment. So in fact, why don't we get our third place man in? Arthur Thurtle, of course, won the opening round. Arthur, welcome to the commentary booth. That was a fairly decent race from you. I mean, I think if you hadn't got involved in that that chicane, that Britain chicane accident on the second race, do you think you could have done the double once again?
Possibly, but I managed to get through the whole first race without a 1X, and I went up to it and I thought, I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to go for it. I'm going to try and keep it on the track and not get any off tracks for the whole 2 races. Didn't happen, but yeah, that was what I decided. I saw it and thought of it, but no, I decided against it.
I mean, it looked like a fairly clean race from yourself. You ended up making 12 places up in race 2. Were you surprised at the race win? Were you surprised to get the race win in race 1? You lost the lead fairly early on. Were you trying to push for the race win, or were you happy for Dan to take it and you just sort of conserve championship points?
No, I was pushing. I got caught out at the green light at the start. I didn't think it was going to go green that quick after the safety car going in. And I think even Ryan had a look up my inside, and I was fortunate enough that I was comfortable sitting behind about half a second behind Dan. I had to just rely on him making a mistake. I had more pace in the car, but there was no way I was going to be able to get past. And yeah, then once he then made a mistake, I was able to get past and was then fairly comfortable in the lead. But yeah, if Dan hadn't made the mistake, I never would have won. I just couldn't get past. It's so hard to overtake at this track.
Well, that was going to be my next question. We spoke to Dan in the warm-up between race 1 and 2, and you were saying, I'm not quite sure, how easy it will be to make the overtakes around here, and it looked fairly difficult. Is that just because these cars are a little bit bigger than the TCRs, or is it you just don't have enough or anywhere really to overtake?
Yeah, I think there's not really anywhere to overtake. There's one real hard braking zone at that hairpin, but you've already had that kink just before it, which takes away the chance of it being an overtaking spot, really. But so yeah, it's a fantastic track in Mazdas. It's brilliant in Mazdas, but yeah, it's very, very difficult to overtake. I think it's also partly we've been racing these cars now for quite a while, and everyone's improved. Everyone's very close, and we saw that in qualifying.
Oh, it's certainly. That was going to be my final question. Qualifying, you looked a little bit out of it, if you don't mind me saying, for the first 2 laps, and that third lap that you put in. I mean, it was supremely quick. Were you building up to that lap, or did you just nail every apex on that final attempt?
No, the first 2 laps I was just trying to set the tyres up, the out lap and then the first flying lap. The second flying lap, I think I made a little mistake on. And then the third one wasn't going well at all, and I was 4 tenths down on my best lap, which was a 39.5, and going into the last corner. So I knew I was on for a 39.9, and Dan had already crossed the line and hadn't improved. So I just knew I had to get that last corner right to get pole. And unfortunately, I got it by the skin of my teeth.
I mean, it's so much pressure, isn't it, when you know that you've just got enough of a delta to get pole, but you've got a corner in between yourself and that pole position. And it's a really difficult corner, isn't it, turn 16 around this track? I mean, I'm surprised we didn't see more drivers ending up sort of spearing off to the inside. I know that I've made that mistake on a few occasions.
Yeah, it's a real difficult corner. It's because there's like the ridge of that hill. I spun quite a few times in practice there. And I just had to get it right. Unfortunately enough for me, I did, and I needed to, because me and Dan have been giving each other a lot of stick the last few days.
he was telling me before the race, and it must feel really good to come out with a race win over Dan in the end.
Yes, it's always good to beat Dan. he's a quick driver, and me and him have had so we've known each other for a few months now, since nearly the start of this year, and you know, me and him always, whatever we're racing, me and him always seem to be glued to each other.
I always love it, and I was talking to Dan, and I was saying, you know, when you find somebody that's so close to your pace, you can sort of bounce off each other, and you can sort of just reach new heights that you didn't think were possible. And I think we're certainly seeing that between yourselves at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Before this league, if you put me in a GT4 car, I'd get beaten by drivers ranked far lower than me. But now I'll go into GT4 officials, and I'm really competitive and getting wins and podiums and stuff, which I wasn't happening before. And yeah, I think that's just because me and Dan just push each other right to the absolute limit. Every week we're swapping fastest lap times all through the week, building up to the Friday.
I think your final practice session was something like, you know, 400ths of a second off each other. Well, Arthur, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with us in the commentary booth. That was a great race by yourself. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Definitely Dan and John, the league organisers, because I look forward to my Friday nights all the time now. It's just, the league's so good. It's so much fun racing with these guys. The banter on the Discord while we're racing as well, it's just brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Arthur. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the season finale.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
That was Arthur Thurtle, third place in the feature race, but winner of race number 1. I think we have time for a very quick interview, I should say, with another driver who had a really good showing. Ryan, welcome to the commentary booth. That was a fairly up and down race for yourself, but are you pretty pleased with the result in the end?
The results I'm very happy with. You know, like I said last week, I wasn't really too confident coming into this week. The track I'm not too confident with. The tire walls especially, I've been into them quite often, and I didn't get a lot of practice in, so I was a bit worried about how it would go, but I managed to get a pretty good qualifying lap in, actually, a 40.1, and I thought it might be good enough for the front row until Arthur put a 39.9 in pretty late. But in the race, I turned the brake bias way up, because in quali I had a lower brake bias, but I didn't want to take the risk in the race, because with the Porsche lower brake bias, you can rotate the rear a lot. But I didn't want to be doing that for the whole race. And yeah, in the race itself, in race 1, I didn't have good pace. I made quite a lot of mistakes. What's his name? Eric was all over me, actually, and eventually I made a mistake and he went past. And then I hit the tire wall later on, and I thought that was it. But fortunately for me, it only just knocked the wheels out of alignment, so I was able to keep going. And then I know Eric I think he made a similar mistake to me, but unfortunately it ruined his car completely. And then on the last lap, Dan went into the wall as well, and I was able to get third just before the line. So yeah, that was a pretty fortunate third place, I would say. And then in the second race, I don't know if you saw it, but I made a mistake in turn 1 that caused quite the pile up. And yeah, I think quite a few cars got damaged there, but I think I might have had slight damage. I'm not sure. I didn't really notice too much, but yeah, there were a lot of incidences in that second race, and I was able to make my way through and finish 6th in the end. So, like I said, I'm happy with the results, but not really with the performance.
I think you're being a little bit overcritical, but I always find that many drivers are. I thought you did a great job, at least standing sitting in the commentary booth. We didn't quite see the opening sort of lap in race 2, but I did see that you've fallen down the order. I don't know if you caught it, but there was a right accident at the first chicane. We're seeing a little bit of a clip on the screen at the moment of you navigating your way through. Once you managed to find your way through, did you go, actually, I think I might have a good result here if I just keep it clean, keep it on the track?
Well, yeah, because I thought it would be a pretty lonely race, actually, because I was pretty far back. But yeah, like after I saw that incident at the chicane and I saw that there were quite a few cars in range, I thought, you know what, I might be able to do something here. So yeah, you know, I just kept going, and like I said, I was fortunate because a lot of people crashed out. I think I did a couple of maneuvers, but yeah, good result in the end there.
It certainly looked that way. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming to have a chat with us in the commentary booth. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
I'd like to shout out Blade because I know I ruined his race completely in the second race there, but he was pretty good natured about it. But yeah, I guess it's to Fuji now and see what I can do next time.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you once again for coming to have a chat with us in the commentary booth.
Hey, thank you very much. Take care.
And you. That was Ryan Patton, the 6th place finisher in race 2 and on the podium in race 1. And what an excellent race that we have had today. Once again, the SRL GT4 Championship really delivering that. Reverse grid always spices things up, and you always get really good sort of feeling stories where, you know, Gibbons gets his first race win. Very well deserved, I should add as well. Ryan Patton, once again, a great job. I think when I spoke to him at Interlagos 2 weeks ago, I remember him being also a little bit critical of himself. I thought he did a great job. It looked like a little bit of a melee heading down into turn number 1, but wow, we've had some superb action today, and if you want some more GT4 action, then we'll be back in 2 weeks' time as we head to the season finale around the Fuji International Raceway. But if you can't wait, then next Friday at the same time of the GT4 Championship, we have the opening round of the TCRs. That's from Hockenheim, the outer loop of Hockenheim, so misses out the stadium section, so very much Sebastian Vettel preferred layout of Hockenheim. So if you're interested in some TCR action, which frankly you really should be, then join us then. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and as I said, 2 weeks time we'll be back for the season finale at Fuji International Raceway.